Good evening, all of you. It's a warm welcome from Computer Society Vizag section, IEEE Computer Society Vizag section. Today with us we have a speaker, eminent speaker, Dr. R. Rajeshwara Garu. It's very happy to introduce Rajeshwara Garu, and he's my friend and my well-wisher. I really thanks sir. Thanks for accepting this talk. Rajeshwara Garu is like my uh, well-wisher always. He's supporting hand from university side, and whenever we have any confusion or any help required from the university, is the first person to help us. I want to introduce Rajeshwara Garu in this regard. Dr. Rajesh Garu is presently working as a professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering and vice principal for JNTU Kakinada. One second. So my voice was clear, sir. Rajeshwara Garu. Rajeshwara Garu. Sir. Rajeshwara Garu. Rajeshwara Garu. There is a small disturbance from speaker side. He is again is going to join. Please wait for 1 minute.
ఇది రాలేదు.
There is now it coming, sir.
Yes, yes. Am I audible? Satish Garu,
Yes,
can
sir.
you give me host?
Already I'm making you as presenter, sir.
But I could not able to share my content only.
You can share. You can share. Now you are in presenter mode. Yeah. Now you check it out, sir. Now you.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So 1 minute, sir. Yeah. So I want to introduce today's speaker, Rajeshwara Garu. He's my again my friend, and I want to introduce him once again. Dr. Rajeshwara Garu presently working as a professor in computer science and engineering, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, JETU Kakinada, UCEV. And Dr. Rao completed BTech from Siddhartha College, Vijayawada in 1999, and he done his masters from JNTU Hyderabad in 2003. Same PhD also completed in JNTU Hyderabad in 2010, and he completed his postdoctoral research from University of Missouri, Columbia, USA. He's having a 19 plus years of teaching experience in the area of computer science and engineering. He served as a officer in charge of hostels and head of the department for JNTUK UC EV Vijayanaram, and is expert committee member to ACTE New Delhi. He is a state level committee member for curriculum development for the state of Andhra Pradesh, appointed as MP State Council for Higher Education for computer science and engineering. And he authored so many books, and he having so many research experience and having so many papers. And he also best research award from JNTU Kakinada in 2018 December. And he received Vidya Ratna Award also from New Delhi, PECG New Delhi in the year of 2011. Like he having a lot of energy to do a new kind of research, and he's always with novel ideas, and always he support the students with new things. Today, it's really happy, sir. You accepted our invitation. You accepted our invitation. Thanks for your kind gesture. And we actually we started this computer society in the last year October in Vizag Bay IEEE section. And slowly we started expert talks and different activities in this society. In this regard, we are trying to motivate professional members and student members, and we are trying to sensitize in several new technologies in the area of computer science and engineering. So now it's a good opportunity for our student members and student members to listen your words, and we'll have a small group of people to take your activities again. Yeah, if you can give your ideas and all, our members are ready to do some activities with your collaboration. I request Aishra Garu, please uh, take your presentation. Thanks a lot, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Satish Garu, for your nice introduction. Uh, Indeed, it's glad for me to associate with you uh, through this noble platform IEEE Computer Society Vizag Bay subsection. Anyhow, yourself, you have been, uh, as you have said, we have good association from a long time, but in spite of due to various committed schedules, I could not make up and give my talk much earlier. So anyhow, uh, uh, let me plunge into my presentation. Uh, Good evening to all the members who are on this digital platform. Let me introduce the concept that I am going to give now. See, this is the work that I have done during my postdoctoral pursuance in University of Missouri, Columbia, in the year 2019. So the talk that I am going to touch upon the various computation offloading strategies, and also with respect to video analytics. So these are all the people that whom I have associated while pursuing my postdoctoral research in University of Missouri. So courtesy to all my Professor Prasad Kalyam is my supervisor, Dr. Pal from Image Processing Lab in University of Missouri, and Rumana Akhtar. Really, I'm thankful to Changi and Shanji Wang. So, see, if you, before going to this talk, let me give you the overall view of what I have done and what motivated us to think about this particular research work. See, these days, as you are pretty much aware that everybody is using drone. Fine. Through drone, we could able to, we can capture the images or videos, whatever it may be, based upon the requirement, based upon the applications, based upon the demand. But here, the constraint is, so what is the quality of the video that we are going to capture? So that is the first one. The second one is, fine, see, the drone will be flying at certain heights. Obviously, the quality of the video won't be that good. And the next important parameter that we are supposed to consider is, so whether the network that we are considering is reliable to upload the video content, and within no time. The third one is we are supposed to process it, and we are supposed to take quick decisions. See, for example, there is a fire accident at a particular place. So humans cannot intrude into that particular location. Obviously, in order to see in US, immediately if any such type of incidents occurs, immediately what they do, they will, they will deploy drones at various, the place where the accident occurred, and at the same time they will try to record it, and they will try to, in order to go for rescue purpose, immediately decisions has to be taken very promptly and quickly in order to save the lives. So here again, artificial intelligence concept also comes into picture. So here, in a broader perspective, this work, can be categorized into various categories. See, with respect to networks, we can talk. With respect to video analytics, we can talk. With respect to artificial intelligence, we can talk. So combinedly, Viman Lab and also Image Processing Lab in University of Missouri, with the association of other research scholars there, we could able to do it. So I would like to give you the overall view of this particular work that I have done. So here, if you consider this, if you look at the agenda of my talk, so the background on drone video analytics and how it is going to be controlled. So problem statement for environment awareness issues and its corresponding related issues. So what is the solution for it? As I said, there will be definitely impairments with respect to network, impairments with respect to video. So how we are supposed to address them? So we have proposed a concept called function chain approach for classification of moving objects. Policy-based function-centric computation offloading strategies. Then the experiments that we have conducted was, we have taken object tracking and object detection, and we have done certain experiments, and accordingly, by considering certain parameters, we have evaluated the results. So finally, I would like to, conclusion and future scope, as you are pretty much aware of it. So let me drive to my next slide. I think it's slow. So what is drone video farming? So drone video farming is the process of collection environmental awareness data for decision makers in a regional scene. See, for example, as I said, there is a disaster. Immediately, incident response teams are supposed to deploy the drones, and they are supposed to capture the video, and they are supposed to take the decision immediately in order to secure the rescue the life of the people who are there in that particular incident or spot. Crowd management scenarios. See, for example, if you take an Indian perspective, we do conduct Kumbh Melas, we do conduct Pushkara, I mean Godavari Pushkarams and Krishna Pushkarams with respect to state of AP. So, for example, I mean, lakhs of pilgrims will be flooding towards a particular place. And we also know the bad incidents that had occurred in our state of Andhra Pradesh. So these type of things can be, overcome with respect to this, this drone-based video analytics. I mean, the work which we have done. So in order to deploy, crowd management scenarios, and the other one is public safety responses at very high density, what we can say, traffic places, where by deploying these type of drones, we can give the solution for such type of problems. So fine. Here the thing is, a drone is capturing the video, and it is, see, if you look at the picture example on drone video farming here, see, drones are capturing the videos, and after capturing that, it will be live streamed to the ground station control, and there from the ground station control, their decision has to be taken. See, for example, after quickly capturing the video, we are supposed to take a decision where to deploy the rescue team, how to deploy the rescue team, whether people are there, what type of strategies that we are supposed to adopt. So for such type of strategies, see, video analytics plays prominent role. Intelligence plays prominent role. So immediately, quickly, we are supposed to analyze it. We are supposed to give decisions. So in that perspective, where to process this huge amount of data? So again, here high performance computing comes into picture. So whether to process there at the edge, whether to process the content at the edge server, whether to process the content at the cloud. So again, it's a debatable point. So these are all the various issues which are pertaining to this particular particular topic or this particular problem. So coming to the next slide, if you look at this particular slide, it is a multi-UAV, means unarmed vehicle. So we call the other name for drone, we call it as unarmed vehicle. So see, the beauty of this unarmed vehicle is we can deploy, based on the applications, we can deploy either 1, 2, 3, and based upon the applications, based upon the requirement, we are supposed to deploy the unarmed vehicles. So they communicate among themselves, and they exchange the information, communicate among themselves with respect to the ground station control, and based upon the ground station control instructions, decisions will be taken at the other end, and accordingly, the people are, solution will be given, I can say. So what are the limitations with this particular problem? So the problem is, yes, fine. At what level, what is the height at which the drone is supposed to flew? Either at 30 feet, either at 50 feet, or either at 100 feet, or either at 200 feet, and fine. That is one aspect. The other aspect is, after, based on the flight height, what is the quality of the video that is going to be streamlined? So whether the quality of if the quality of the video is not good, then there is no use of using this UAV or this drone based, these drones. So the thing is, the data has to be transmitted from drone to ground station control. So there are various protocols that we use. One is UDP. So these are all the protocols which you use, real-time protocol, TCP/IP protocol, TCP protocol, QUIC protocol. So through various protocols, these video will be streamed. So again here also, see there is a what I can say problem with respect to the type of protocol which we use. See, the bandwidth may not be good with respect to the ground station control to the drone. So if the bandwidth is not good, what type of protocol we are supposed to consider? So what to mitigate, whether to go for this protocol, UDP protocol or TCP protocol, that is one problem. Obviously, the network established between the drone and ground station control may not be good, obviously. So as we are pretty much aware of it. And the third one is video resolution. So based on the height, see for example, you take a camera, even if you take a, mobile, see based on the distance and based on the resolution, the video that I am going to capture or the image that I am going to capture, it obviously varies. So these are all the limitations with respect to this particular problem. So for example, if you take spatial impairment, so spatial impairment, obviously it results to noise with respect to video blurring. So just go through this particular video so that you can have some idea over how it is going to vary. Are you able to see this? Are you able to visualize this video? Sorry. Could you please respond, any of the participant? Hello? 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 See, if you observe this video, at various places, at various locations, there is some blur. See, the blur is there. So for example, if video, suppose see, if you take this video, if you look at this screenshot, this screenshot is not clear and visible. So how to address this? So if I transfer, if I transmit my protocol, if the video is transmitted from drone to ground station control through UDP or RTP, real-time protocol, obviously the image is going to be in a blurred condition. So how to overcome it? Okay, that is one of the major problems. Coming to the next one. With respect to if I transmit my protocol, if the drone transmits the video by using TCP or QUIC protocols, when Google YouTube streams the video by using QUIC protocol. Amazon streams its video by using this UDP protocol. See, for example, if you take this impairments in video stream, if I transmit, if the drone transmits the video to ground station control by using TCP, there will be some sort of buffering or freezing of frames. That means latency will be there. Frame by frame. So if you look at this, these are all the original frames here. And if you look at the temporal impaired frames, the sequence, what happens, see sometimes if you look at the TV screen, it won't be clear. Some sort of latency, frame by frame, you can observe the screening. So such type of video, if it is there, obviously from the end, the other end, we cannot finalize, we cannot identify what to do, what is the quality of the image, we cannot take the decisions immediately. So in order to address all these problems, in a broader perspective, the problem here is, so mitigating the network protocol and the required solution, or required resolution to meet the video farming by having dynamic mechanism to efficiently orchestrate limited edge computing resources and cloud high performance computing resources during real-time video streaming process. Once again, I read out this problem statement. So, the problem is mitigating the network protocols. See, there, as I said, there are various protocols. Which protocol I am supposed to use? If the bandwidth is high, based upon the situation, what type of protocol I am supposed to use? Based upon the application, what type of protocol I am supposed to, based on the problem. Suppose, for example, if I want to perform object tracking, what type of protocol I am supposed to use? Object detection, what type of protocol I am supposed to use? And at the same time, if the quality of the video is not good, what I am supposed to do? At the level ground station control, and where to upload it. So all these things can be, these are these problems that, these are all the various parameters and constraints that are supposed to be addressed with respect to this particular problem. So next, so if you look at the related work, so many people have worked on this, particularly with respect to this drone-based video and offloading strategies. So generally, offloading strategies means, as I said, where to process this particular content, this video content, either at the edge, either at the edge high performance, either at the edge server or either at the cloud. So again, it's a debatable point. So what we have done, here, based upon the application, some of the functions, the entire applications have been divided, the entire application has been divided into various functions, and certain functions are executed at the edge itself, certain functions are executed at the edge server itself, and certain functions are executed at the cloud, based upon the task, based upon the applications, which we call it as function-centric computing. So in the coming slides, we will be discussing about that. So next for that, what is the solution approach with respect to this particular problem? So how to, what is the impairment, how we are supposed to detect the impairment detection? What is function chain approach for classification of moving object? As I said, as I have mentioned it, we have taken two applications. One is with respect to object tracking, the other one is object detection, and the third one is policy based function centric computation offloading strategies. So this was the work which we have done in that particular lab, and it was published in ICDCN, which is one of the reputed conference in the year 2020, International Conference on Distributed Computing and Networking, in association with the ACM. So this is the function chain for classification of moving object. So we are going to give the input video. We are going to give means, let us say that drone is capturing the video, and that captured video, whether first it has to be analyzed, whether the quality of the video is good or not, or whether is there any type of impairments. Impairments means defects with respect to network, defects with respect to quality of the video. Then that will be deployed to, that will be transmitted to ground station control, and from there, from client to server, again, as I said, two applications are there. One is object classification, object identification and object tracking. So if it is impaired, what to do? So again, it will be converted to grayscale and blurring and motion detection, and otherwise, if the quality is good, it will be classified and the number of objects are detected. So here, with respect to this particular contribution here in this problem, what we have done, we have decomposed the entire application. See, this is the pipeline for overall application. So we have decomposed this application into microservices, and with the help of this Docker, we have communicated via this RESTful APIs. See, as I said, the entire function has been divided into various microservices, and with the help of this Docker container, these microservices could able to communicate with respect to by using these RESTful APIs. So the libraries that we have used in order to object detection and also as well as object tracking, YOLO we have used, and and also in addition to that, OpenCV and TensorFlow functions have been used for this particular problem. So as I said, what is this? The first problem is impairment with respect to network. The second problem is impairment with respect to video. Okay. The third problem is where to upload it. Where offloading means where to deploy the content in order to process it. Either at the edge server or either at the cloud. So at these three levels we have addressed. So for example, if you take this in a broader perspective, this dynamic offloading, DFCC looks like this. So you start, the video has been streaming. There is a network failure, so we are supposed to address here. The second one is with respect to video, impairments are observed. Then where to process it. So with respect to that, what happened, as I said, the first point is network impairment. So drone is transmitting its video from that, from drone camera to the ground station control. So let us hope that there is a network impairment. There is a connectionless. Connection is not established properly. So what happens, here, we are supposed to see, for example, if you look at this flow diagram, there is a network failure, for example. If the network failure is there, we are supposed to, what we have done, we have estimated the recovery time. So estimated recovery time, that is calculated with respect to T. So this, if T is less than or equal to tau of alpha, the tau of alpha is called as response time. So we'll see what is this tau of alpha. So if it is less than that, then you go ahead. See, if it is less than this, yes, then you follow function-centric computing for this particular application. And if it is function-centric application means, as I said, the entire task will be divided into various small tasks, small functions, and through RESTful APIs combinedly, we are going to, each and everything will be processed separately and finally it will be combined. So it is one type of what I can say, distributed computing. So it will be distributed with respect to various functions, and finally it will be combined, and the final task will be given. So you store it in the buffer, or otherwise what happens, you execute partially and again you store it in the buffer. See, for example, if you look at this, if the response time is not tau of alpha, again it will come and check whether the network is in good condition or not. So this is the first impairment with respect to drone. So just clearly keep in mind that our objective is to transmit the video that has been recorded by the drone to the ground station control. So the first constraint is whether the network established between the drone and the ground station control is perfect or not. So if it is perfect, fine. If it is not perfect, what we are supposed to do is, we have derived one logic with respect to this particular response time. We will discuss that in the coming slide. So we will estimate the network failure and calculate the recovery time. So first you estimate the recovery time. If the recovery time is less than the response time, what happens, fine, you can proceed further. Or if it is more than that, again you stop there and you process, you go back and you keep on checking until the recovery time, I mean, you get the required, I mean, until the network is recovered. So this is what the logic that we have applied. See, for example, uh, tau alpha. Tau alpha is given as expected time. So the expected time is calculated like this. See, this is called as tau. This is expected time. So here, what happens? If with respect to this particular, see here, tau is called as the response time without any failure of the network from drone to the server. See, let us hope that there is no failure with respect to the server. So obviously what happens here, if you look at this tau alpha is going to be equal to this tau. There is no network failure. Obviously the response time will be like this. For example, if there is a problem with respect to the network, then what is this P and what is this Q? So Q gives us the recovery time. So what is the time taken that is going to take in order to come back to the normal position? And P means the stage. See, for example, P is defined as the time interval between the point of initiation of the task and the network failure event occurrence. So if it is less than Q, if P is less than Q, then this tau of alpha is calculated by using this total expectation, and maximization approach. So of course, we are going to substitute these values. We are going to calculate these values from 0 to eta, that means the time, recovery time, and from that recovery time to final time, we are going to calculate it. So this is how we are supposed to calculate it, and we are supposed to estimate this particular time. So the first impairment is with respect to recovery time. So that we have addressed. See, the first problem is network impairment. Network impairment means, see, we are going to transmit the data, drone is going to transmit the data with respect to various protocols by using either UDP or TCP or QUIC or RTP. So here, based upon the bandwidth, based upon the network, the drone itself is supposed to mitigate among the networks, protocols that is being used within it by using some sort of logic that is being controlled by this ground station control. That is one aspect. The second aspect is, for example, if the network is failed, so how to address it? So this is the logic that we have adopted in order to find out the response time. And the second one is dynamic function centric computing. So this is the core part there in the particular lab we have done. So as I said, fine. Drone had streamlined the video, fine, and that video content is supposed to be processed. So where to process it? Either at the edge, either at the edge server or either at the compute. Cloud. That is one aspect. The other aspect is, as I said, see, drone is the flight of the drone is a drone may vary from from ground level. It might be flying at different levels. So, for example, 100 feet or 150 feet. The more the feet, obviously, what happens? The quality of the image is going to come down. So, and at the same time, as we are pretty much aware that, see, for example, if you take the weather environment in India, or in between, say, some October to January, we used to have a lot of snowfall or fog. So, for example, I want to capture a video during morning hours in mid-winter. So what happens, I may not be in a position to capture the quality of the video. The quality of the video will be obviously not that good. Why? Because due to fog, my camera or my drone may not be in a position to capture the quality image. And at the same time, what happens, occlusions will occur. So occlusions means, certain portion of the image may not be in I mean, the video or the image may not be in a good condition. So for certain constraints, for such type of constraints, what we are supposed to do? So the ground station control, that's where we are supposed to use this artificial intelligence techniques. So we are whether to, I mean, tilt the angle of the camera, that is one aspect, whether to improve, whether to increase or decrease the, drone flight. The other one is, where to navigate it, whether to move from one place to, for example, the drone might be capturing the video in one angle, but the actual content, it may not be in a position to capture it. So obviously we are supposed to navigate with respect to the actual content which we are supposed to capture. So here, if you look at this particular flow of this particular function-centric computing, see, obviously, let us, as I said, we have, after the impairment of network let us hope that network is fine, then we reach it to next level. The next level is video content. So here, with respect to video content, real-time control is not required, means obviously what happens, see, if immediate response is not there, you just push to cloud. So cloud, what happens, if immediate response is not there, you just process the content in the cloud, and slowly you can retrieve the decision, and accordingly you can act. And otherwise, what happens, some sort of decision. See, for example, the quality of the video may not be good. So here, if you look at this particular level, second level, no. So there is some impairment. So if the impairment is there, and if the quality of the impairment is less than 30%, it may lead to navigation control, as I said, it may lead to platform control, or it may lead to camera control. So the camera, we can tilt the camera angles from one level to other levels. So, and or otherwise, the other, as I said, this FARNet, flying ad hoc networks, FARNet also we can use, so that we can communicate. As a single drone, it has certain limitations. And otherwise, if the particular drone could not able to capture that particular video or the spot, what it does, it transfers that particular information to the next drone which is associated with it, which we call it as FARNet, and accordingly videos will be captured and processed. So this is what how the dynamic function-centric computing happens. See here, why we are using the word dynamic means, see, impairments, if it is there with respect to network, we are taking decisions dynamically, and also with respect to quality of the video, if it is not good, where to process it dynamically we are taking, and at the same time, what type of control strategies that are to be adopted at the ground station control with respect to user perspective. See, everything is automated, so it itself, by using this artificial intelligence, it has to do it. So these are all the three things: navigation control, platform control, sensor and camera control, and accordingly video has to be processed. So the third one is evaluation, that means experimental setup. So we have taken the images, various image resolutions like 1080, 720 and 480 and so on and so forth. I think you people might be aware of this test bed. See, even we can use Amazon test bed, or in US. See, our university, JNTU Kakinada, is also a member in this GENI. This GENI is nothing but a global environment for network innovations. For high performance computing, this platform we can use it. So here, these are all the specifications that we have considered in our experimentation work. So one edge server, one cloud server with the GENI rack. So anybody can register, and anybody can use this computation. Computation for this cloud computing. As I said, it's we are a JNTU Kakinada is one of the member for this particular journey. Okay, so these performance evaluations are being estimated with respect to cloud, edge, HPC, edge, and function-centric computing. So let me clarify you. So there will be some sort of confusion among the participants. What is edge? What is edge? Edge, HPC, and what is cloud? See, as I said, see, certain decisions can be taken at the drone itself, which we call it as edge, or certain decisions can be taken at the gateway itself, which we call it as edge. So edge HPC means in the ground station control, we will be, I mean, we have, I mean, the next nearest processing control will be there with respect to which we call it as edge high performance computing. See, for small, I mean, for certain processings with little computation power required, I mean, see, drone flies at certain height. For that, obviously, battery plays prominent role. A lot of constraints are there. So I cannot perform high performance computing task at the drone level. So for certain tasks, I can use computation with respect to edge. The next to that, I can perform certain computations at the level, I mean, at the ground station, by which we call it as edge high performance computing. And next to that, see, which requires much more computational power, so we can go for cloud. So as I said, this function-centric computing, we have divided. See, the beauty of this particular work is, see, generally the entire task. Generally, we say that cloud. See, we take a particular application and we can process the entire application in the cloud, or the entire application in the edge, or the entire application in the edge high performance computing. But here the beauty is certain functions will be executed at the edge level, certain functions will be executed at the edge HPC, certain functions will be executed at the cloud. So again, combiningly, we are going to get the final output with respect to this particular work. So that's why we call this as specifically this type of performance computing is the first of its kind, which was done at University of Missouri under the supervision of Professor Prasad Kalyam and Dr. Pal. So which we call it as function-centric computing. The scholar who pursued his PhD with the name Changi, now he is with Google. So he got opportunity in Google just because of his innovation with respect to this function-centric computing. So the next, as I said, we have considered three parameters, metrics with respect to the performance evaluation. One is processor frame per second, and tracking rate metric, and accuracy rate metric. So we have used this YOLO library for this object detection and object tracking purpose. So as I said, see, we have conducted experimentation by varying the bandwidths. As I said, see, bandwidths, when the drone is flying at a certain height, obviously the bandwidth during certain conditions may not be good. But ultimately, my final objective is to have the better quality of the image. So once if the quality, if the bandwidth is not good, what type of protocol, I am supposed to use? Automatically, with irrespective of the, with respect to the quality of the bandwidth, the protocol has to mitigate among itself. So we have considered UDP, TCP, and QUIC for various applications, for various parameters in order to calculate. So here, if you look at this, we have considered this UDP tracking rate, TCP tracking rate, TCP accuracy rate, and UDP accuracy rate. So this is how the results we got. So TCP performance slightly better an object with respect to object recognition. TCP is performing by using TCP protocol. It is giving good result when compared with UDP when the bandwidth is low. So similarly, UDP performance is good for object recognition when there is a good bandwidth. So just make a note. I mean, you can differentiate the difference. See, when the bandwidth is low, TCP is giving better accuracy. When the bandwidth is high, obviously UDP is giving better accuracy. So with respect to impairments, see, as I said, we have taken various resolutions, as I have mentioned, 480, 720, and so on. So frames per second is one of the parameters that we have taken. So impairments type, as I said, see, stalling is one type of impairment which we come across by using TCP protocol or QUIC protocol with respect to network. UDP and if I use UDP and RTP, we are going to use blurring or noise. Noise images or noise videos will be there. So here, these frames per second, it remains more or less the same for all types of protocols. But with respect to resolutions, what happens, the processing capacity, if the resolution of the image is low or if the resolution of the video is low, it is easy to process. Obviously, it is well-known fact. So this is one of the parameter which we have come across. And the other thing is, see, if you look at this particular, third chart, this third figure, which gives the impairment rate and bandwidth. So, see, the basic constraint with if there is a good bandwidth, we no need to discuss all these things. So, if ultimately the bandwidth is good, irrespective of the protocol, either TCP or UDP, it works, or either QUIC or some other protocol, it works. The basic constraint is bandwidth. See, we have various digital platforms like Microsoft Teams is there, Google Meet is there, and this particular protocol particular platform which we are using, this WebEx is there. So in my experience, this WebEx requires a much more higher bandwidth when compared with other digital platforms. So similarly, if the bandwidth is good, obviously the impairments rates will be less. So that is well established fact, but anyhow, in our test results also we could able to observe it. And so as I said, see, we have compared this work, object detection and object tracking by offloading. See, offloading means deploying. By deploying this particular process at edge, at cloud, and edge HPC, and also, as I said, the uniqueness of this particular work is dynamic function-centric computing. So dynamic function-centric computing means, as I said, the task will be divided into pieces, and different pieces will be processed at different places, or different sub-functions will be processed at different places. So with respect to all these parameters, with respect to this CDF, cumulative distribution function, and with respect to accuracy on car, with respect to frames per second, with respect to tracking on car, you could observe that see this blue line, blue bar, which indicates dynamic function-centric computing. Here also the number of frames per second. So the frames per second with respect to cumulative CDF, cumulative distribution function, it is less, and even tracking rate on car, this dynamic function-centric computing is giving better accuracy. So evaluation results with respect to decision. With respect to these three parameters, accuracy, frames per second, and tracking rate on car, of course, dynamic function-centric computing is giving better accuracy. And also in the similar way, where to deploy this particular content with respect to process the video content. either at the cloud or either at the edge or either at the edge HPC or dynamic function-centric computing or at the drone. So if you look at the all results with respect to accuracy on car, with respect to tracking on car, um, at every point of, at each and every parameter, we could able to find out that, we could able to observe that dynamic function-centric computing is the optimal solution for in all, irrespective of the all conditions and constraints. So this is what that we have done with respect to these evaluation results. So finally, with respect to conclusion, considered a novel dynamic computation offloading and control scheme that detects occlusions and coordinates intelligent processing in drone video analytics. So let me clarify this. As I said, drone is capturing the video, but the video content that is supposed to be streamed to the ground station control, it has to come across three phases. One is network impairment. The second one is quality of the video. Third one is offloading. So all these three things we have addressed. One is network impairment by considering various protocols. That is first level. The second level is quality of the video. So, as I said, for example, if we see, we may not be in a position to actually there the human involvement is less. For example, in disaster recovery, in disaster management or in a fire accident or with respect to traffic control. So if there is, the minimal human intervention will be there. So the ground station control with respect to its intelligence, the drone with its camera, it has to capture the quality image and the actual content. So whether the quality of the image, whether I am supposed to improve the resolution or decrease the resolution, or whether to tilt it, whether to have in the same phase or whether to move in and around. So these type of constraints are addressed in this particular thing. The third one is offloading strategies. So offloading strategies means processing, where to process it. See, if it is a simple task, means especially why we are using this drone based video analytics, in order to address some sort of in emergency conditions, we use these drone videos. So for example, as I said, as I have mentioned in Kumbh Mela, lakhs of people, crores of people will be flooding at a single instant of time, at a time. So how to control them? So we are supposed to give directions to various places, and at the same time fire accidents, we are supposed to deploy the rescue team. So here the time that everybody does, everybody does it, but the thing is, we are supposed to deploy it within no time. So that is the major aspect with respect to this particular problem or work. So that is the second one. Third one is quick response. Fire accident. Let us hope that fire accident is going on, took place, and I am supposed to deploy the rescue team. Where to deploy? So I am supposed to take a decision as a concerned person of that particular office. So in order to take a decision, if I could not able to derive a proper decision from my side, I cannot deploy I cannot deploy the rescue team. So in order to process all these things, we should have an automated, intelligent, drone-based offloading strategies in order to address these type of problems. So here our scheme considers not only the computation workload and processing time, but also the dynamic parameters that affect drone video analytic performance in a real-time manner. So deployed the realistic drone edge cloud testbed on FFC, function-centric compute benefits, function-centric computing benefits, and decides which architecture is superior and Pareto optimal trade-off performances versus tracking accuracy factors in real-time drone video analytics. So this is what that we have done in our work. So the future scope is, see, energy is one of the major constraints with respect to deploying of drones. So see, the batteries are supported with respect to drones, right? So see, if the drone flies at a certain level, the energy consumption will be at one level, and if it takes more peak, I mean, if it is if the flight is much higher than I mean than the existing one, obviously the consumption of batteries will be high. So flying, I mean, these FARNets, I mean, again, communication between the drones with respect to these FARNets, again, these are all the problems which we can address in the near future. So this is how, I mean, the students, the research scholars who are interested can concentrate on this particular area, and they can carry out their research work. So with this, I would like to end my presentation. So now I will be glad if you pose, I mean, queries or questions with respect to this particular talk. Please, thank you. So over to Satish Garu. Hello.
Sir.
Yes.
Sir, this is Ravikiran Verma, sir, Dr. Ravikiran Verma.
Yes, Ravikiran, please.
Yes, sir.
So, any questions? I will be glad to answer.
Yeah, we shall take any couple of questions if anybody is willing to ask. If any of the audience would like to ask any questions, you may please now. So, okay, sir. It's I think.
Sir, we have to unmute them so that.
Yeah, I think that is the problem, sir. Satish, sir, I think once earlier when during the beginning when sir has asked, I am replying, but I did not see the mute actually. Sir has disabled all the mics actually because of disturbance.
I done, sir, now. I think they can do unmute, and
I think now the participants can unmute your mics and you can talk. Otherwise, earlier, sir has locked that option to unmute.
Okay, sir. Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening. Please go ahead. Yes, sir. Venkataraman garu, please go ahead.
Sir, yes, sir. Glad to hear this, sir.
I think, sir, there is some disturbance. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
Venkataraman garu, there is some disturbance.
Venkataraman garu, I think there is no proper signal, internet signal. Can you please look into that?
Clear now?
Yes, sir.
Hello. Am I audible, sir?
Hello. Yes.
Clear?
Yes, audible. Go ahead.
Sir, you are saying recording of the video. You said the application Kumbh Mela. So that recording video, the memory of the video, how much memory can we expect? Like the video recording. Suppose we have recorded for 1 hour. How much memory approximately it will occupy?
So that's what, Venkataraman garu. It all depends upon the, quality of the drone. I mean, see, for example, as I said, see the drone instead of I can say quality, the capacity of the drone. See, certain drones will have higher level capacity and certain drones will be having lower level capacities. So drones vary from, I mean, you can go through, there are companies which provides real-time drones in order to use for real-time applications. So the more the cost, obviously the better drone videos we can get it. I mean drones we can get it. So the thing is, the first aspect is battery. The second aspect is, see here, the video that is being captured, that will be transmitted to the ground station control.
Okay.
See, it's like a camera. So based on its capacity, it captures the video and it will be transmitted to the ground station control.
So there will be nothing much stored in the drone.
Yes. So I mean, there the constraint is battery.
Okay, sir.
So if the battery is not good, obviously it will come down, right?
Yes, sir.
So hope that I have clarified. It's clear now, right?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, sir. I'm Sampath from MVGR.
Okay.
I have a question for you. Why can't we get a low feed video from the drone and upscale it from the ground station?
Yes.
Actually, our target is to upscale the content which we are getting from the feed of the drone, right? So why can't we do that by upscaling the same thing in the ground station, just like what's happening in the smart TVs which we are using today? Like, for example, the Samsung TV which we have in the market can convert the 1080 or 4K video into a 8K picture. So why can't we upscale the content using these processors?
Right. Very apt question. See, this work is mainly focused to upscale the low content video, low quality video to high quality. Fine. So that anyhow we are doing it. Number one. Number two, the constraint and the problem with respect to this problem is, so we are, see, in general, we deploy drones for emergency purpose. Like as I said, there is a fire accident. We are supposed to take a decision. See, human intervention may not be there. So there is a big fire accident. Suppose, see, for example, in cities like Mumbai, I mean, if you take US with respect to US context, so big buildings, I mean, big apartments, big buildings will be there. So thousands of public, I mean, people will be residing in that particular apartments or locations. So there, see, anyhow, we will be upgrading the quality of the image. That's fine. But the thing is, if we are not able to receive the quality of the image, I mean, quality image, so what happens, we cannot take a decision. In order to take a decision, what happens? What we are supposed to do, we are supposed to process the video or the image. So in order to process the video, see, obviously, we are not using high performance computing strategies here. See, if you take a dedicated high performance computing like a particular cloud or a grid or some other high-end processing located at some place, the processing time and in order to get the response from that processing time, it takes time. Am I clear? So here my question is, instant responses are we are supposed to get the instant responses. In order to get instant response, what we are supposed to do, we are supposed to try to capture the better video. I cannot say best video, better video. Why? Because, see, there is a fog. Can we capture a better video? We cannot. See, in certain angles, while capturing the video, we may not, I mean, there might be some sort of occlusions. Occlusions means some missing information might be there. There is a theft, there is some sort of, we are supposed to identify certain images or certain human, culprits in a big mob. See, certain portion of the image is available and certain portion of the face or image is not available. So the camera that is being deployed by the drone is not in a position to capture it. So in order to in order to utilize, for certain type of applications or for such type of applications, this particular, this particular project or this particular drone-based video analytics are very much useful.
Okay.
Is it clear now?
Yes, sir. Okay.
See, ultimately what you said is, as per your suggestion, anyhow we are upgrading the quality of the image. But see, if here my concentration is not, here my task is not to upgrade the quality of the image only. My task is to take a decision where to deploy, how to deploy, in which angle I am supposed to deploy, where to deploy my rescue force, right? In order to save the human life. So this type of, in order to take quick decisions, if I concentrate on processing the video and and upgrading the quality of the image, definitely that is a time-consuming process. That is a different aspect. But quick response, in order to get quick response with respect to the task, with respect to response, we call it as responsive times. Spot response we are supposed to give. Quick responses. See, if anything happens, there is an accident, quick response teams are supposed to fly to that particular, rush to that particular spot, and they are supposed to clear the spot, right? So for such type of applications, these drone-based video analytics and offloading strategies are very much useful.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
So, any more questions? Okay, sir. Otherwise, please let me give the vote of thanks, sir.
Yes, Ravikiran Varma garu.
Sir. Sir, please,
Sir,
just
sir, before that, it's really a good time for all of us. I think participants, you can contact him personally, or you can post your questions to me also, so that I post the same to Rajesh Garu to answer.
So before
Yes, sir.
before that, shall I? Can I have 2 minutes of your time, please?
Yeah, please, sir. Please, sir. Please.
Really, it's a great opportunity for me to interact with through this IEEE Computer Society. Though I am a senior member in IEEE, because of various constraints, I could not able to deliver lectures through this platform. Really, it's a honor, and my special thanks, and I profusely thanks to Dr. P. Satish Garu, Chair of Computer Society, IEEE Vizag Bay subsection, and in fact, and one more friend and well-wisher, Dr. Ravikiran Varma Garu, Treasurer of Computer Society. So they used to, whenever we used to meet, they used to talk about always this IEEE related issues. But anyhow, glad, sir. Thank you very much for giving me this great opportunity. And also, I would like to share some of the developments that are taking place in our JNTU K College of Engineering, Vizianagaram. So we look forward for your support and also guidance in all aspects. So recently we have a student branch with more than 30 members here, and I think Satish Garu, you are pretty much aware of it. And recently we have started Women and Engineering Affinity Group, and also Signal Processing Society chapter, and also Power and Engineering Society chapter. I think Dr. T.S.N. Murthy Garu, who is an active member with respect to IEEE. So he's coordinating and he's initiating IEEE activities in our campus in I mean, big way.
Yes, sir.
So,
Recently, he called me and he asked to support for Computer Society. I think he already filed a petition for Computer Society also in your student branch in JNTU Vijayanagar.
right, sir.
Definitely, we will work out, sir. We will whatever support required from our side. Definitely, we are ready to do that. And TSN Murthy was one person is very active. We know that not only from student branch, he is very active volunteer for IEEE Vizag section, and he is also very and this is another strength
Committee
for
person.
Vizag section actually.
Yes,
And
sir.
definitely, whatever support we required, you require from Computer Society, definitely we are there to support user.
Thank you, Satish Garu. And today itself, we have decided. I mean, when we are discussing with our Honorable Principal Garu, we thought of conducting one IEEE conference. So, in this regard, also your support and guidance is very much required. So,
Sure.
anyhow, we will be. I mean, our Dr. T.S.M. Murthy will be in touch with you. So,
Sure,
let
sir.
us continue this association. And
Sure.
also, I am glad and I mean, this is my first talk with respect to IEEE, but in future, in near future, I'm ready to give a number of talks whenever and wherever it is possible.
Thank you.
Thank you very much once again for giving me this great opportunity. Thank you.
Sir, Ravikiran Verma, sir, please give a vote of thanks for this.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. Sir, I am Dr. Ravikiran Verma, Treasurer of IEEE Computer Society, and working as a head of the department in computer science at MVJR College of Engineering. I would like to take this privilege to thank our today's invited guest, who has given a wonderful talk on drone video farming, where he has discussed about automated intelligent drone video processing to detect occlusions using dynamic function-centric computing. Performance, they have also evaluated the performance on different test beds, including device, edge, cloud, and various placement deployments. So it's a very excellent, I mean, highly motivated and highly informative talk, where he has covered several technological aspects in the computer science, communications, networks, cloud computing. Several topics are covered. So if, the participants might have understood different aspects, and they might have got different inputs from this, where they can also do further projects or research in UAVs, drone processing, video farming. It's a excellent and state of the art area, where there is a lot of scope of research. I hope sir also will help the students or any researchers who would like to work in this area. So we are really, proud, or we are really fortunate to have this talk and with our computer society and IEEE students and the participants. So along with the team, we are working to conduct several talks under our dynamic leadership, Dr. Satish sir, IEEE chair, who always continuously struggles to conduct. I mean, we are only just following his. We are only supporting him actually. In fact, actually, he is taking the leadership, and he is doing a lot. Actually, he is always striving to conduct a lot of such talks, where IEEE is an excellent platform. Is a big platform actually. It is like whenever we talk about IEEE, people readily come and like to share their experiences us, and this is how voluntary. Even Rajesh Rao sir actually wholeheartedly, voluntarily came out because of this platform, and this platform helps us to meet technically and share our thoughts. And supported by our Satish sir. I know we are also in the team of Computer Society, Usha Bala garu, Vice Chair, Sivaram Badraj garu, Secretary, and members Sudhakar and Syed Ahmed. We are supporting the chair, and ultimately a driving factor behind all of us is Lakshmi Narayan garu Sadasuni, who is the chair of the IEEE Vizag section, and Abraham Varghese sir and the other team who continuously working hard for the benefit and betterment of the students in and around. As Rajesh Rao sir said, we all need to we all need to help each other. In ultimately, it is for the benefit of the professional and student members. We are always there, and we shall see that more such events will be conducted. And thank you once again, sir, Rajesh Rao sir, for your wonderful talk today.
Thank you very much, Varma garu, Satish garu, and all the participants for your patient listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Right, thank you.
So we'll take leave, sir,
Thanks.
for today.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Right,
Yeah.
bye. Andy.
Bye, sir.
I request participants to on video so that we will take one picture with your colorful photos. I request all participants, please on your video, please for photo sake. Rajesh, please stop your presentation so that everyone will come. Ravikram sir, please on your video. Badri sir, on your video. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.